Good day and welcome to Delta Television, the People's Pride. I am Blessing Usiagbada, and today we are honored to have an inspiring guest. She is a dynamic woman who is making waves in the world of charity and advocacy. And she's also dedicating her life to supporting the vulnerable and championing causes that create a positive impact in our society. She is a host, poet, storyteller, and Miss Universe Nigeria 2024 finalist. Please join me in welcoming Uchechi Deborah Uchenna. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to
Thank
Delta
you
Television.
so much. Thank you.
All right, she is the founder of Embracing Humanity Initiative. She advocates for mental health for women and youth, as well as education, healthcare, and climate change action, amongst others. As we discuss her remarkable journey, her work, and the challenges she faces, please stay tuned for an engaging discussion. Please, can you tell us about yourself, tell us about your organization, and how you started?
Okay, so firstly, I'd like to say thank you for the introduction. So I am Uchechi Uchenna, as you already said, and I'm a spoken word poet, writer, host, and Miss Universe Nigeria finalist. So basically how I started just like every other young girl with a dream. I lost my mom when I was 6, and you know the Nigerian way of taking kids out because really there was no funding to take care of all of us, so we had to be shared, my sisters and I. And then life taught me lessons, but then in those moments I realized that since I had survived, I was going to be a hope for young girls who were like me, who were not so privileged to get an education, who are not so privileged to have access to pads. You know, period poverty is on the rise, and that's how I emerged, really. Have a dream and inspire other girls to chase their dreams because everything is possible.
Okay, let's talk about your journey into charity and advocacy. What inspired you to start your organization?
So basically what inspired my journey is the things happening around me.
Okay.
So I first started advocacy on period poverty, and that was because I had my first period when I was 12, 13, and I didn't get period education. I didn't know what it was. I was scared. What is this, blood? And then I met my neighbor because the person I was living with wasn't around, so I met my neighbor and she told me, congratulations, you're now an adult. And then she handed me a pad. And after it went on, I realized that the word just hits me. It was difficult accessing pads, and most times my then auntie I stayed with would give me one maternity pad to like wash and use, and it was the one used by pregnant women. So the first time I ever used a complete set of pad was given to me by someone else. And so I said, so this is real. And that was what really inspired my advocacy, coupled with the fact that when my mom died, she died at the hospital, and there was no urgent attention. So it inspired my advocacy to want to help people gain accessible health care, help children get an education, period poverty, and then it expanded into mental health and climate action. Okay.
Now, what are the core vision and mission of Embracing Humanity Initiative, your organization?
Well, so I actually believe that everything starts with education, climate action. If we learn how to preserve the earth, then we'll be in a better position. Period poverty. If we learn the importance of, accessible pads and how an education can really help a child, it's going to help them live better lives. Healthcare, mental health. So the core vision of Embracing Humanity Initiative is simply to educate people, whether it's education, formal education, or climate action, mental health, or healthcare.
Okay, can you share some of the key projects your organization has executed over the years?
Yes.
First, when did it start? When did you start your organization?
So when we started wasn't when we registered. A short story. Embracing Humanity Initiative, the idea was formed 5 years ago, and we didn't start as Embracing Humanity Initiative. The first thing we started with was Revolution Africa. And some people told me it was looking like feminist movement, political movement, Nelson Mandela kind of thing. They'll put me in jail again and all of those things. And then when we wanted to register, we realized the name was not available anymore. And then we adopted a second name, Elevate Talents for Africa. And the goal was really to bring young people out, of the streets, make them use their talent as a key, tool to impacting lives. And then finally, Elevate Talents for Africa was not available to, for registration. And then we are here. We ended up registering Embracing Humanity Initiative. So we officially got registered recently. However, we've started, since 5 years ago.
So what are the key projects that your organization embarks on? What have you done over the years?
Okay, so basically, we have put kids into school. What we do is to help put kids into school. Kids like me, who have vision, who have a dream, but have the problem of money, right, to get into school. I believe every child should have access to an education, regardless of where they come from. Whether your mama has money or your papa doesn't have money, you should have access. It's your basic right. So we launched the School a Child project, where we focus on basically kids in the rural areas, helping put them into school. We also launched, before I went for Miss Universe Nigeria, we launched Healing Hearts. Healing Hearts is a project that provides mental health and healthcare resources for women and youths. And in a bid to help people feel more secure, we launched Safe Space. It's a part of Healing Hearts. It's basically a podcast where people come and talk about whatever they feel. Because I feel like the major problem is that people feel judged every time. So Safe Space is a space with no judgments. Just tell us what you feel.
Okay. So how do you carry out these projects? Putting kids back into school, going to the rural areas, looking for children who their parents cannot afford education, and this safe space you talked about, the podcast. How do you handle this project? Is it self-funded, or do you have partnerships with other organizations?
Okay, so when we started, it was my personal money. Okay. I just had a dream. I didn't really care whether I was broke or poor. I wanted to use all my money. But then I realized while, the years passed, I realized that it wasn't a one-man thing. Okay. That even if I wanted to put kids into school or make healthcare accessible for women and youths, that my personal funding can do little or nothing. And so we resorted to reaching out to people for donations. Of course, in the beginning, people didn't respond, but because they thought it was a child's play. And then over time, we're partnering with organizations. And we're open to more partnerships to help kids and help more women and youths.
Okay, so talk to us about the challenges you faced while running this organization. What are the challenges you faced over the period you've been running this organization?
Okay, so I think my biggest challenge has been I think one of the challenges we face is funding. However, funding was not my biggest challenge when we started. My biggest challenge was that people saw me as too young to impact lives. People saw me as, because she is young, because she is a woman, then she's incompetent. But I think over the years, the accomplishment has been showing up for itself. So people trust the brand more. And I think the second difficulty we've been facing is funding. Okay. I think we need more organizations. We need the government in particular. It's not going to be a one-man thing. Education should be provided by the government, right? But if you make it an Uchechi thing, then we're going nowhere. Probably children would never have access to education. I'm actually here today speaking this way. Some people will be like, have you been out of Nigeria? Hell no.
I'll ask you those questions, don't worry. It has been inspiring talking to you, Uchechi. We'll go on a short break. We'll go on a break right now. When we return, this conversation continues. Please stay tuned.
To all of us, permit me to speak English, please. My name is Uchechi Uchenna. I'm the founder of Embracing Humanity Initiative. I've read in the books about Dr. Newton Jibuno, and he's somebody who has really inspired my actions. And then I reached out saying it was going to be International Day for Climate Action on the 12th of December. And he said, okay, why don't we do a partnership? I was excited. Of course, and we're here today. He's the reason why we're here today. And I want to say thank you to Fade Africa. Thank you to the Nelson Mandela Gardens for the work. Every tree planted today is a testament to how much we really want to preserve the earth. And I believe that together we are going to go green, one tree planted at a time. And just like Dr. Newton says in his books, leave the earth a better place than you met it. Cheers to going green, everybody.
Welcome back. You're still on to Delta Television, the People's Pride. And we've been talking to Uchechi Deborah Uchenna, the founder of Embracing Humanity Initiative. Just before we went on that break, you were talking about the challenges you faced. You said funding has been a major challenge. Now let's talk about the successes. So far, running this organization, what would you say has been that very impactful thing or memorable thing that happened that you can say, okay, this is one of my greatest achievements so far?
Well, I think one of my greatest or our greatest, I believe in teamwork, and I'm not the only one at Embracing Humanity Initiative. We have a lot of volunteers. Cheers to all our volunteers that has been making things happen. I think our biggest achievement so far is the lives we've changed or the lives we've touched. I believe that a person has not truly existed if they have not made impact. So it's the people who would say, Uchechi, because of you, I didn't give up. Uchechi, because of you. You know, we had someone reach out to us through Healing Hearts. They almost committed suicide, and just because of the things we do, you know, it helped save that person. And once the person had reached out to me, I used poetry to finish the whole thing. So I think she's also one of the gifts and one of the things I'm happy for. I think it's the people we've helped. The children, the old people, the youths, the women. Yeah, it's been amazing.
Okay, so talk to us about the communities that you've served. You talked about going to the rural areas, getting these children who cannot afford education and putting them back in school. Talk to us about that project. What communities have you been to in Nigeria? And could you give us a figure of how many children you've helped so far? Okay,
so the communities we've been to, basically Imo State. I think we've been to Okwele. Okwele is in Onimu local government area of Imo State. We've also been to Obilubi. Obilubi is in Mbitoli local government area of Imo State. One of the schools was, can I remember all the names? But Okwele Community Secondary School, then a primary school in Obilubi. Personally, we've been able to do around 50 children. Yeah, so what we do basically is, if you don't have, you know, school uniforms, we can provide school uniforms. If you don't have books, we can provide books. But we're focusing on public schools because as an NGO, that doesn't have so much funding. That's what we can do at the moment. So we help put them into school, provide the things they need, like books, chairs, and, you know, a few other stuff.
You also advocate for mental health for women and youths. Why women and youth only?
Well, I'm a woman, and it's not like it's personal. I mean, in a certain way, it is personal. However, I strongly believe that, you know, a lot of women, because it's relatable to me, my mom died, and I know there's so many things that she bottled up, apart from healthcare, really. There's so many things that happened, and she didn't have the opportunity to open up about it. I've also been opportuned to be part of women-led organizations. And most of the organizations, I'm usually the youngest. However, these women tend to open up to me a lot. And I've realized that the major problem they face, both healthcare, every other challenge affects their mental health, you know, generally. And when your mental health is affected, trust me, every other part of your life is in shambles, because it is what you think. If you were mentally unstable, you'd probably not be here today. You could take a break, you understand? And then youth, because To all of us, permit me to speak English, please. My name is Uchechi Uchenna. I'm the founder of Embracing Humanity Initiative. I've read in the books about Dr. Newton Jibuno, and he's somebody who has really inspired my actions. And then I reached out saying it was going to be International Day for Climate Action on the 12th of December. And I said, okay, why don't we do a partnership? I mean, excited, of course, and we're here today. He's the reason why we're here today. And I want to say thank you to Fade Africa, thank you to the Nelson Mandela Gardens for the work you're doing, and to everybody who came out here today.
Okay. Ojaba.
Welcome back. Now let's move to climate change. Looking at the visual that was displayed, that was you planting a tree.
Okay, Ojaba.
This tree planting exercise is not just a mere ritual, but a conscious effort to protect the environment against desert encroachment. And this is a clear call for everyone to protect their environment in any way that they can. For Delta Television News, I am Sams Upochiti.
Is water okay? Yeah. Add more water. Usually tea at the back.
Okay, put it.
Okay. Right now we're having
You should put the sand.
so this one first. Okay.
For since you have prayed, it will germinate.
We good?
When you first come.
We good, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you red
I have to stand to water, right? Yeah. Is the water okay?
Yeah.
Add more water. Come and check it. Okay.
So yesterday you participated in the International Day of Climate Action event.
Yes.
Tell us about the event and the significance of that event. I can see you planting a tree there. It was a colorful event. Just talk to us about the event.
Okay, so International Day of Climate Action is a yearly event, that takes place to advocate for a better earth. Embracing Humanity Initiative partnered with Fade Africa, and in Dr. Newton's words, he would say, leave the earth a better place than you met it. Mm-hmm. The truth of the matter is that most of us, we do not focus on the earth. Mm-hmm. We don't focus on preserving the earth. And when the earth is gone, where do we go to? We have to restore biodiversity. Deforestation is currently on the rise. Our earth is dying, and all we can do is plant a tree to save the earth and take actions that really help to restore our earth. Yeah.
Now, what do you think are the biggest challenges Nigeria is facing in tackling climate change?
I think one of the biggest challenges we face is the use of plastics. I mean, it can never be overemphasized. Every day we use nylons, plastics, and most times it's not disposed properly. And I think, that's the biggest.
So why planting of trees? What's the importance of planting a tree?
Okay, so as individuals, we need oxygen to survive, and trees provide the oxygen we need. So it's like plant a tree to stay alive.
Okay, now handling all these things, advocacy, charity, you're also into advocating for a climate change, a better environment.
Yes.
How do you handle all these things? How do you run the organization? What keeps you going?
I think it's the dream, the passion really to impact lives. I don't think my life is just mine. I believe that if I die without fulfilling this passion or this dream to help more people, many people are going to go down with me. Because at this point, I know I'm so young, but I think a lot of people look up to me to stay alive, to dream. And so what happens if I give up? Yeah, I'm staying because of them. I'm impacting lives because of, many women in the community we've reached out to, and it has helped them really stay alive. So we're doing it for humanity, really.
Okay, you're also a storyteller and a poet.
Yes,
How
I
do
am.
you find time to, nurture your creative side?
Okay, so I think there's a time for everything. And I have an amazing team at EHI. So when it's time for advocacy, time for work, time to impact, we go impact. And when it's time for education, time for poetry, time for outings, we do it. So that's basically it.
Okay, would you like to do something for us, like a freestyle,
Okay, I think I'd do that.
Okay.
So what do you want it to be about? Is it
You're
about-
poets, just do something.
Okay. Broken pieces of me, broken pieces of you, broken pieces of us, broken pieces of Africa. Inside each and every one of us is a heart beating and burning like a champion. If only you let the lion out. You're not an ant. You are a dreamer come trailing the breaths of the ancestors, yet trailing the breaths of angels. Behind your smiles are pains you can't explain. The ones that eat through your marrow so deep it hurts that tears leave your eyes. You've been in pain, but all this while you say you're fine, because pains are just pains and can't pollute your smile. See, behind your beautiful smile are teeth. Not the ones that are done this smile, but the ones that gnash in deep anguish and in sore sufferings. So I smile. Beautiful and clear, not because I'm fine, but because I care. It's my way of lending strength to those who are lost in fear. A smile, a hug, or an eye contact maintained. A sincere smile is gold. It's a message of peace and love and hope. So I smile. Beautiful and clear, not because I'm fine, but because I care.
Bravo. That was wonderful. Okay, so now you are an inspiration to young girls growing up, young girls who are coming up, and we live in a society where some persons still feel it's not important to invest in the female child.
Yes.
What would be your advice to that young girl who may be watching us right now?
I think my advice to every young person who may be watching right now is to learn to be yourself, your true self and your unapologetic self. Never apologize for being who you are, for dreaming. When I started NGO, some of my family members were against it. They said, get an education, because sometimes I would use my salary. But today they are all proud, saying, that's our girl. So it's okay if people don't see what you see right now. But trust me, in the nearest future, everybody would say how much they knew you, how much they even carried you, and all of that. So just dream and remember, it's your stage, really.
Okay. What are your future plans for Embracing Humanity Initiative, your organization? What are your future plans for that organization? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
So Embracing Humanity Initiative, for me, I'm not a short-term thinker.
Okay.
Yeah, I see EHI in 5 years' time as, an organization who would up the game in terms of what we're doing. If we've done 50, this month, we'll probably be doing 10,000 in the next 5 years. For example, with Healing Hearts, it's not just a mental health project. We look forward to building a resource center where women and youths can have access to the resources they need, be it mental health, be it healthcare. And we look forward to partnering with a lot of initiatives, hospitals, to provide access to checkups. And then, that's it, basically.
Okay, and what legacy do you hope to leave through your work?
I think the legacy, I know that the legacy I want to leave behind is that no matter where you are from, you can do anything. Yes. I mean, for a young girl who is from the kind of place I come from a small village, and I grew up in a very small community. with people who I know have big hearts, but then we're just, small people looking forward to doing big things. So I think the legacy I want to leave behind is wherever you come from, everything is possible and everything is achievable if you believe.
Okay, now let's talk about advocacy in Nigeria.
Yes.
What role do you think advocacy plays in creating societal change?
Well, I think the basic problem of our society is, lack of information. Okay. And I think advocacy addresses that. It's important that we get informed about certain matters, because if you're not informed, you can't act. And that's the vital role that advocacy plays.
Okay, now, what advice would you give to young people who want to go into advocacy and charity, just like you? Sometimes when you've been talking and telling us about your work, yes, charity, advocacy, what you do, your creative side, being a storyteller and a poet, and I'm just imagining, how do you balance all of this? So for that young person who, has the desire to go into advocacy and charity, what would be your word to that young person? How would you, motivate them to go into this? Because I know I'm not into advocacy, or I am into advocacy by means of being a broadcaster.
Yes.
But going into it full time, it must be a tasking job.
It is very tasking. I have to say the truth at this point. It is tasking. However, I think what I would say to every young person who wants to start advocacy is just start. You will never learn the job enough. You would never know it all until you start. I think the basic problem of most young people who want to take action and do big things is the fact that they fantasize a lot, think about it, but they never go into action. Okay. That was my big problem before I started, I finally found the courage to start. So I would say start, keep learning. It's not an easy job. No, it's not all roses. You get tired sometimes. You would cry sometimes when you don't have funding, when you spend all your money. But it's okay. The time will come when you get the recognition you deserve. Organizations will want to work with you, just like we worked with Fade Africa. Okay. Who knew I'd be partnering with the desert warrior himself? So it's a big one. I think just keep hope alive, keep working, and yeah.
So how do you handle criticism and pushback against your advocacy? We live in a society, or our country, Nigeria, is not as developed as other countries. Yes. That embrace mental health. People don't even think there is anything like mental health issues. They don't see the need to talk about mental health issues and other advocacy works that you do. So how do you handle criticism? Because I know that if you are doing a good job, definitely you would get criticism from some persons, you get pushback. So how do you handle the pressure? How do you handle these pushbacks against your advocacy?
Well, I think the reason why we should talk about these things is because it's not talked about enough. And when we talk about it so much, a lot of people would have to get comfortable with it. And, criticisms will always come, but it's important to know why you started, the reason behind, the cause you're pursuing. What do you want to do pursuing that cause? What do I want to achieve, advocating for mental health, climate action and all? I know what I want. I know that it's going to help people, even if the people you're trying to help don't know. And I think that's what's the most important. Nelson Mandela was fighting for freedom, but they never thought he was doing them good until they realized. So that's what my journey really is like.
So how then do you stay motivated against, despite these pushbacks and criticism you get? How do you keep yourself motivated?
So what I do is cry a little. This is a gentle reminder that it's okay to cry. Just cry a little and remember why you started in the first place. If you stop, you would stop and do nothing. So why not continue? And then my amazing team who would always, I don't know why they believe so much in me really, but they do. I think most of my volunteers at Embracing Humanity Initiative are way older than I am. But every day they'll call me, hey leader, hey Debbie, hey mentor. And I'm like, okay, these old women are calling me mentor. That's a push to continue. And whenever I don't feel like doing anything, they would remember why we started this. Are you leaving us behind? That's what they will say. And I'm like, okay, I'm not leaving. And then, basically.
Have you ever felt too small or too young, to carry these dreams?
That's the problem. I don't feel too small. I may have a small body.
We are climatologists. We study climate.
So new thing, the people here come with changes that are happening to human beings, changes that are happening with the abuse that we are inflicting on the environment. So the action is mainly to sensitize communities and people to begin the process of looking after their environment, so that all those things we hear that are happening all over the world, tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, bushfire, floods even here in Delta cannot get to us, because if it does, our ability to mitigate is very low. Our ability to adapt is very low. That is why we have this crowd. That's why we're
All right, welcome back. We've been talking to Uchechi Deborah Uchenna, a young lady, but someone who's making waves in the world of charity and advocacy. She is also the founder of Embracing Humanity Initiative. As we wrap up this interview, what would be your last words to women and to Nigerians in general?
Well, I think my last words will be, inside each and every one of us is a heart beating and burning like a champion. Together, we can impact lives one person at a time.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your inspiring journey and shedding light on the wonderful work you've been doing. We applaud you and we appreciate everything that you've done for humanity. Thank you so much for staying tuned to Delta Television, The People's Pride. We've been talking to Uchechi Uchenna, the founder of Embracing Humanity Initiative. Let us join our hands together to create a better society. So you can be an advocate. You can advocate for the right things in society. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Blessing Osiagoda. Good day.